Good morning. And thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you for having me.
This is a very important part of democracy, the debate, healthy debate, and we're going to go through that today. And I'll give you both equal opportunity to discuss your party platform, your own platform, and how you see this election is turning. And we'll give you a fair chance. Let's start with Mr. Loyola. Please introduce yourself and 2 minutes, your opening statement.
Thank you very much. And to all the listeners of my radio, I want to greet you all and wish you all Sat Sri Akal, and really focus on the fact that I, Rod Loyola, am a proven community leader with an excellent track record. Over 8 years serving the community in the position of member of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta for Edmonton Ellerslie, but even before that, serving as the president of the Notwood Community League. Always involved in the community, working hard to make sure that the issues and concerns of constituents are being brought front and center in our democracy. Making sure that people have a voice, making sure that we're working towards a sustainable economy that has a great healthcare, universal healthcare system here in the province of Alberta, as well as very important public education system. Those working for workers' rights, making sure that human rights are being sustained, no matter what the situation or context, focusing on those things. I'm a champion of the community, making sure that we are working towards a better Alberta for everybody who calls this place home. Everybody deserves to be treated with respect and dignity, and that has been my track record while in office, and I'm proud to stand by it.
Thank you very much, and you stayed within your time frame. Thank you very much. And Ranjit Bhatt, UCP candidate from Edmonton Ellerslie, please go ahead and introduce yourself and your opening remarks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ranjit Bhatt. I'm the UCP candidate for here, Edmonton Ellerslie, and I'm here today. I've worked very hard over the past 15, 16 years to make myself presentable, to make sure that I am the guy that you guys want to vote for. We've had a tough bunch of years for the past couple of years, and we've had a riding here in Edmonton Ellerslie that has lost leadership, that has lost the touch. We are not presenting, we are not advocating for our riding. We need leadership that's going to speak for our seniors, speak for our kids, speak for the businesses and the public workers. We need somebody that can come in here and make sure that our voice at legislature is heard. We do not want to move forward with the 4 years where we will have somebody that is just going to come in and collect the paycheck again. We need somebody that is going to advocate for us. So please, this time around, we need to make sure that we vote UCP. We need to make sure that somebody close to home in Ellerslie for the riding is going to work hard for this riding.
Thank you very much. And this Edmonton Ellerslie riding is very unique. One part you have very settled community, old community. On the other hand, you have very newer community and still growing, and like a new settlement is every day, where and new construction and new development. Starting with you, Mr. Bhatt, what do you see the unique challenges for your riding, and how you going to address that if you become MLA?
As you said, this riding is very, very diverse and spread out. We have a lot of community safety issues in this riding. We are losing a lot of infrastructure in this riding, meaning we don't have a community hall, we don't have a rec center, we don't have a grade 11, 12 high school in this riding. The hospital that just got announced, and there's work already underway. Like, this riding needs to be advocated for, and I feel, and a lot of the riding feels, that that hasn't happened in the last 8 years. So that's my goal, is to come in and make sure that we work hard for the next 4 years to get some of these things here, to get the voice of the riding out, to make sure that healthcare, education, and safety is represented. and the riding feels safe. When seniors or when parents take their kids to school, when seniors go to the park, they want to feel safe. We want to feel that our private sector, we want to feel that our religious schools, our homeschooling, we want to feel that public schools, everybody can receive an education. We need to make sure that we input into all of these things.
Definitely. And same question to you, Mr. Loyola.
As I continue to door knock here in Edmonton Ellerslie, the people are really concerned with the fact that we have a healthcare system in crisis. And the reason for that is because people don't have a family doctor. The UCP has chosen to cut funding to healthcare in this province. It's the party that Mr. Ranjit Bath has decided to present his name with. The Alberta NDP, while we were in government, we stated that we were going to build a new South Edmonton hospital. The last time a hospital was built in Edmonton was 1988 under Conservatives. The Conservatives continue to ignore Edmonton's healthcare needs. They are the ones who actually cut the hospital from the program. They had 4 years in order to advance on that hospital, but they put it on the back burner, and now it doesn't even show up on the government website. So the UCP has failed at bringing a new hospital to South Edmonton so that it can take pressure off of the Grey Nuns Hospital. On top of that, they cut $32 million out of municipal funding. They actually confiscated that money, took it away from municipalities, which means that the municipalities had to cut funding. So we are guaranteeing that we're going to put that $32 million back. We're going to hire 150 new police officers along with 150 social workers. So that the community security will depend making sure that people who need addictions counseling and programs will get that kind of support, and we'll bring our communities back to a healthy place.
Definitely. No, anybody would like to rebuttal on what has been said here?
Yes, throughout the campaign, the NDP has been spreading lies. One, our government is not going to make you pay for health care. That is a lie. The other thing is the Southside Hospital has been already money allocated. That's not what the NDP did. They threw out a plan. They threw out an idea that had no plan to move forward. They had no work done to it. We've put in so much work. As you can see, we've reduced EMS times, times into the hospitals. The ambulance service has gone up. We've brought in doctors, nurses that are coming here now that don't have to go through their credentials. They don't have to go to different provinces to pass their credentials now. So we need to make sure that when the NDP speaks, they speak with proof and they push forward proof and not just lies.
You would like to answer
Mr.
that?
Bath is actually misguided. There has been a fiscal plan for the hospital, and there's also been a clinical plan with doctors, community, healthcare professionals all working together on that plan. When we said that we were going to build that hospital by 2027, money was allocated specifically for those things, making sure that a plan was being created, not by us as the Alberta NDP, but the healthcare professionals, the people that are actually working in the field. So again, that clinical plan was already in place and presented to the Ministry of Infrastructure under the UCP, nothing done. The fiscal plan was also presented to the Minister of Infrastructure, again, nothing done by the UCP. So the fact is that if he's saying that we're lying, the reality is that the Minister of Infrastructure, when I questioned him in question period regarding the South Edmonton Hospital, he lied, and the community came to me saying, no, these plans are already in place, and the Minister of Infrastructure is misguiding the people of Alberta.
I don't know.
Yes, I'll ask the next question. The next question is economy. We're going to discuss economy. I'm in Alberta for the last 30 years. Whenever I see a growth in the economy or a better oil prices, I see something happening in the world. Alberta basically relying on something bad happens in the world, either a Middle East war or or a Russian invasion or some other sort of situation happens in the world, then our price goes up, and then we are living happily and saying your rainfall is falling, with lots of money, lots of revenue coming from oil industry. What your party and your party is doing to diversify the Albertan economy, where we don't rely on only one single income, and which is the oil and gas, and that is also is not in our hands. We rely on what happens somewhere else in the world, so we can gain fruit out of that. Mr. Loyola, with you.
So number one, extracting petroleum has always been front and center for the Alberta NDP. We actually are the only party that got a pipeline built here in the province of Alberta. We're the only ones to date. This is on record. Now, on top of that, we're talking about adding value to the petroleum that we're extracting. While the Alberta NDP was in government, we introduced the Petrochemical Diversification Program, which was all about getting companies here in the province of Alberta to not only extract, but then add value to that product. Number one, we are also focused on renewable energy, moving towards geothermal, also moving towards the conversion of liquid natural gas into hydrogen. We're focusing on how we can attract those interests here to the province of Alberta, but then not only that, also new technologies. We are focused on diversifying the economy, making sure that we have good paying jobs for Albertans as we move forward as a society here. The other thing too is that we need to diversify also who we sell these products to. So having a pipeline that goes to Tidewater makes sure that we can sell our products on the international market, not only for petroleum, but we're also doing it to help farmers and farmers adding value to what they are actually providing in the market. So we're well in hand. Alberta has the NDP has a track record of helping people add value to what we're getting from the ground.
Definitely. And you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Witter. You know, let me tell you how the NDP actually diversified the economy last time they were in power. $70 billion in debt, $2.2 billion that we still pay in interest every year, right? That's how they diversified it. Overall employment rate increased. Women's employment rate increased. Youth employment rate increased. Edmonton employment rate increased. The public sector bloomed while the private sector lost thousands of jobs. People running away from the province. That's how they diversified our economy. We don't want to move forward like that. The UCP has a plan. They care about the oil. They have been making sure that our economy blooms. We're working with other sectors, construction. We're making sure construction is one of the major sections that comes out of this as many people move into the province. Hydrogen, we are going to keep pushing with this province and the economy.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I heard your take on the economy and diversifying the economy. Now it's time to rebuttal whatever you have mentioned. You go ahead, Mr. Loyola.
Sure, thank you very much. I think that Mr. Bath is pointing at some statistics that have nothing to do with actually diversifying the economy. So what's really important is that we focus on the track record. Alberta NDP, while we were in government, we introduced the Alberta Investor Tax Credit and also the Alberta Corporate Tax Credit. And these were asking Albertans themselves to invest in Alberta businesses, and then also asking Alberta corporations to invest in Alberta by hiring Albertans, making sure that they were going to get credits for, and it was like 30% that they were being given a credit for if they were going to invest and build in Alberta. And that's what we need as we're moving forward, encouraging investment here. But not only that, the Alberta NDP is the party that stands with small and medium-sized business. We're actually the party that has decreased the small business tax. And if we make government this time around, we're actually going to decrease it to 0%. The UCP, they like to get pushed behind big business. And you know, yeah, big business is needed, but we need to support our small and medium entrepreneurs here in the province. Alberta NDP is strongly behind them, even during COVID. I was an advocate for small business here in the province of Alberta, making sure that the UCP would respond to them. And it took them more than 2 years. It took them more than 2 years to respond to small businesses here in the province of Alberta, providing them the support that they needed throughout COVID.
Mr. Bhatt?
Thank you. I think my colleague knows what I'm talking about when what I was saying. So you can't diversify the economy if there is no economy to diversify. When the NDP killed the economy, it was really hard to diversify. But let me tell you, For our job creators, we took the tax from 12% to 8%. We put in on a track to $6.4 billion in tax revenue. Like, we are making sure that the economy is diversified, but we're making sure that people that want to help and invest in the economy coming from outside are given a fair chance to invest into Alberta, and that's what we're going to keep on doing. So I think my colleague does know what I was talking about. He just doesn't want to see it.
Thank you. And my next question is education. You have mentioned in your opening statement, Mr. Bart, there is not enough schooling in our area, and even the schools are getting aged, and they need to be, we need to repair them or make them up to the level that we need schooling at this time. So, what are your plan? What is your party plan, and what you are personally thinking that how many school and what you need to do in Ellerslie to bring it to the level the education should be?
In Edmonton Ellerslie, we really need a grade 11, 12 high school. That's one of the main things that we need right now, because from the whole riding, it is very far to take their kids in the morning to a high school that's around 82nd, which takes 10, 15 minutes. We need to make sure that the schools that we have, we bring in a system where, the point system where somebody's living close are the people that get into those schools first. Some of these things that, we need to work with different type levels of government. But as far as the MLAs go, we will make sure that we fund education as much as we can and make sure that the curriculum is something that we put a keynote on, because we want to make sure that education is taken care of, even though it's public or private, or it's religious funded schools, homeschooling, whatever it is. We want to make sure that we push hard with education. We have problem orchards. There's a school there. Parents are having a tough time getting admission into it. Sweat Hansen has the same problem. Parents are having a tough time getting admission into it. We want to work with these levels of government and make sure that we can get these parents sorted out. We don't want to be the MLA that says, hey, this is not my area. We want to make sure that if it's not our area, we would direct to them to the right area and talk to our colleagues and make sure that these are implemented.
We already have a proven track record as the Alberta NDP here in Edmonton Ellerslie. While we were in government, we built 3 new schools for Edmonton Ellerslie. Under the UCP in the last 4 years, 0 schools have been built in this district. Not only that, but the schools that already exist are at capacity, and families are having to deal with the lottery system. They have to put their child's name in a lottery, and if they don't get to go to that school, they have to be shipped into other places 20, 30 minutes away. So the UCP have exacerbated the problem by not funding public infrastructure programs here in Edmonton Ellerslie. I can commit to you and to all your listeners and all Ellerslie constituents that when we make government again, Edmonton Ellerslie will get more schools, and it will get the high school that it needs, along with a recreation center. We will make sure that those projects are funded for Edmonton Ellerslie.
Before I give you time to rebuttal, I have a question for both of you. Both of your parties are promising lots of investments in the community, and on the other hand, both are saying we're going to balance the budget as well. So where that revenue will come from to fulfill all those promises and keep the balanced budget in Alberta? Starting with you, Mr. Ranjit.
You've already seen that we can take a province that's in debt, we can balance the budget, bring it into surplus. So we have a track record proven that we can already do that. And with investing into our communities, more and more, as the UCP government moves forward, more jobs have been coming, more people out of the province. The housing industry is, in the province, it's at best. Inflation in this province is at 3.7 compared to any other province. So right now is the best time for a UCP government to come in again, rather than going back to the NDP and going back to where we were, where they couldn't even forget balancing the budget. They put us into debt for so much money.
I have a question for you. With balancing the budget, there are lots of cutbacks from the UCP, but now you are promising investing into the community. How are you going to keep that budget balance after the commitment to invest in the community, in the education, in the healthcare, and all other and housing and all that. So cutbacks, I can see the balancing budget, but with the investment and balancing budget, how are you going to balance that?
Mr. Butler, we went through a pandemic,
Yeah.
right? That's why you saw some of the things that you saw done. That pandemic was not easy to fight. I think that was one of the most challenging things that happened in anybody's life. And the government dealt with it. It dealt with it very good, even though we were stuck, even with healthcare. The UCP gets blamed, but we were put into a place where the NDP had set traps for us and contracts with the AHS and everything to go into. So these are some of the things that, now with the pandemic gone and the economy blooming and the province at a best with the economy, we will have money to balance, go into surplus and invest back into communities.
Same question for you, sir.
Mr. Bad is completely misguided. The reality is that it's not the pandemic's fault. They can use the pandemic as an excuse if they like, but conservative governments have a track record, and the UCP over the last 4 years reduced funding to so many programs. Just starting with the healthcare system, they ended up taking billions out of the healthcare system. 1.7 in fact, and under the last budget. And then on top of that, they reduced programs for addictions counseling, for mental health. They took, as I mentioned before, 32 million out of municipalities, so that they took that out of policing. Municipalities, the same people that voted the UCP in, they were the ones that the UCP ended up taking money away from those municipalities, making it more and more difficult for municipalities to provide supports for their constituents. That is the track record of the UCP. They run fiscal austerity budgets, they cut funding, and what ends up happening is that the people who need those programs are left high and dry. I give you the example of how they decided to cut AISH. After much pressure of the Alberta NDP as the loyal opposition within the House, they finally decided to index AISH back to previous standard, right? And then again, we have a proven track record that they balance the budget on the backs of Albertans. Instead of putting money towards providing services for Albertans, they're providing tax benefits to big corporations. And that is the way that they decide to run this economy. They think that trickle-down economy is the way to go. We know that type of approach is unproven in jurisdiction after jurisdiction around the world. This does not get the job done. We need to make sure that we're there for Albertans, putting their priorities first, and that's what the Alberta NDP is going to do, and we're going to balance the budget at the same time.
Same question, I'm going to ask you one more question. That is, NDP built new school, healthcare in their previous government, and the accusation is that you have acquired so much debt for Alberta. But now you are promising all those investments coming back and still keeping the budget balance. Mm-hmm. How that going to work?
So it has to do with what revenue is actually being brought into the province. Okay. I'll give you a fine example of how this actually works. And I'm going to give you the example of childcare. We know that for every dollar that you invest in childcare, you actually get $6.50 back. How does this work? Well, the problem is that the tendency is that when childcare is so expensive, it's usually women that end up staying home, which means that individual is now not working in the economy. That means that they're not paying their personal income tax. When we get more women back to work here in the province of Alberta, we make sure that childcare is at a reduced price, at a price that people can afford. We get everybody working, and especially women working.
My next question is that even what we have number-wise population in Alberta, we are struggling with the infrastructure. We don't have enough school. We don't have enough, hospitals and doctors. And statistics are, giving us enough sign that there will be big influx coming into Alberta next 4 years. Migration from other parts of the country or immigration coming from abroad. Any of your party is ready for that influx to have enough infrastructure to accommodate all those newcomers into Alberta. And what is your take on that, Mr. Lola?
Well, as you see with the UCP, they continue to run austerity budgets that have created the situation where there's not enough investment in infrastructure. We've already demonstrated that we had promised that the South Edmonton Hospital, for example. So as things currently exist, there's a 400-bed deficit under this UCP government. If we continue without investing in a new hospital for South Edmonton, then we're going to end up having a deficit of 1,750 beds here in Edmonton. That's the track record that the UCP have left us with. And not only that, and in terms of, again, no new schools for Ellerslie, there's other constituencies throughout the province that continue not having a school. We need, the Alberta NDP's track record was when we were in government, we made sure to invest in infrastructure, in schools, in hospital, in highways, in bridges, all those things to get Albertans back to work. Now, when it specifically comes to healthcare, we are going to make sure that that South Edmonton Hospital is built. We're going to do the largest recruitment of healthcare professionals, doctors, nurses, etc. in the history of Alberta. We're going to make sure that people are going to be getting the services that they desperately need. We're going to make sure that schools are funded adequately so that the classroom sizes will decrease. I'll be honest, the UCP have left us in a healthcare crisis. And if they continue to be in power, they're going to end up doing the very same thing to public education system here in the province.
Mr. Bhatt?
Thank you. You know, like my colleague said, I think it's every party's goal to make sure that the infrastructure in our province grows. And we make sure that we make it better. In healthcare, we've announced 58 schools. We want to make sure, we've announced 58. We've announced so many hospitals. We've announced major highway infrastructure here in Yellowhead, in Windermere, here in the city. We want to make sure that, you know, infrastructure needs to grow with schooling, needs to grow with hospitals. With people coming into our province, we need to make sure that the housing, the new housing market keeps growing. And with the UCP government that has economy as one of their top platforms, I think you can only grow it with the UCP government.
Thank you.
The Conservatives continue to pretend that they're the ones that are best for the economy. But what they continue to do is present austerity budgets which end up sacrificing the programs that Albertans need, that they desperately need. And now they're even putting our system in crisis by running those austerity budgets. We need a government that is going to be there for the people of Alberta, make sure to invest in them and the services that they need so that we're lifting everybody up, making sure that our economy continues to increase, while at the same time making sure that people are getting the services that they need. And we're lifting everybody up all together, making sure that we have a sustainable economy moving forward that's properly diversified. The UCP track record, and it doesn't matter how far you want to go back in the record, they run austerity budgets that don't necessarily put Albertans first. Look at what's happening right now. They took the cap off of insurance. It went up almost 30%. They took the cap off of utilities, also went up. At a time when inflation is growing and growing in a way that hasn't in over a century, the UCP has made decisions that are making it more and more difficult for Albertans, putting costs on them rather than making sure to alleviate those costs and making things more expensive for Albertans as they continue to go to the grocery stores.
Thank you. You, Mr. Bhatt?
You know, as the NDP ties with the Liberal government, with the inflation, with the carbon tax, for them to say that inflation is raising when they're the ones that joined hands with Jagmeet and Trudeau to bring in the carbon tax is really laughable. You know, what they say and they work totally opposite of that, I think, is disrespect to the citizens of Alberta. And we need to make sure that this time we bring in the UCP government again so we can show them, because when they say that they're good for the economy, we need to look at their track record, and it doesn't speak the same as what they're saying in their words.
they continue to cut funding to post-secondary educational institutions. They also are making it more difficult for students to pay back student loans. We are going to make sure that the interest is cut off of student loans. Number one thing, we're going to make sure that we're going to cap tuition fees. I know that many immigrant families that come here to Alberta, they want to make sure that their children have access to good quality post-secondary education. They're making it more difficult for that to happen.
You know, Mr. Butcher, I just have a question. We have spent 45, 50 minutes on the government, which we should. I just want to go, like, what has the NDP done in Ellerslie for the 8 years? You know, we are going to be representing Ellerslie, as he's the MLA of Ellerslie and I'm the MLA. I'm going to be the MLA for Ellerslie. What has my colleague done for the riding for the last 8 years?
And I'm happy to answer that question, Mr.
for
Button.
that?
Go ahead.
3 new schools under the Alberta NDP government. We were the ones who announced the South Edmonton Hospital, making sure that we're going to take pressure off of the Grey Nuns Hospital. People are tired of waiting in emergency rooms because they continue to defund healthcare here in the province of Alberta. Danielle Smith herself has on the record, it's recorded, her saying that she wants to make it so that people have to pay to go see their family doctor. This is the reality that we're facing in this next election. People have a very serious decision to make, and the track record's already there. 3 new schools built in this riding, a hospital already announced, and I continue to work with community on the needs that they have. They know they have a champion in me. They know that they have someone who is accessible and is always going to be there to listen to them, and that they can come to my office whenever they need, and I represent all communities equally.
You know, when we say, what have you done, and our colleague has to go back to Daniel Smith, you kind of see that there's not much there.
Thank you. Now, gentlemen, thank you very much. Closing statement from both of you. Start with you, Mr. Bhatt.
I thank everybody. I thank you, Mr. Butcher, for having us here. I thank all your listeners for having. This election is very crucial. We need to make sure, first of all, we get out and vote, because when we don't vote, either government will not be listening to you. When you only poll 30-40%, it makes it difficult for governments to take care of these areas. We need to make sure that we have a 70 to 100% voting, and either government, either candidate. You know, I am openly saying this. Just please go out and vote. If you like Mr. Loyola or my colleague's record, please go vote. But please check what he has done for the riding for the 8 years. If you want to give away another paycheck for the next 4 years, please vote for my colleague. But if you want somebody that's motivated, that's got full of energy, and that's got a party that's behind him, please vote for Mr. Bath. You know, I've been in the community for the last 13, 14 years. I have done a lot of hard work in the community, and I want to make sure that I get to represent the riding of Ellerslie.
Thank you. Mr. Loyola.
To all your listeners, I want to highly suggest that you get out and vote. That's important. I've always say to people that our democracy doesn't work unless we participate in it. Part of that is voting in elections, but it's much more than that. It's having a working relationship with your government representative. Over the past 8 years, I've had a great track record of working with community on the issues that they care about the most, coming to my office when they have issues and concerns, always being approachable and accessible in the most humble way so that people feel that they have access to their elected representative. I am a champion for community, a leader that can be trusted with a proven track record of making sure that Ellerslie is well represented. And I'm going to continue working hard now and forever for Edmonton Ellerslie, for all Albertans, making sure that they have good quality education, whether at the primary or post-secondary level, that they have a healthcare system that they can rely on, that's universal, that they can get healthcare in their neighborhood when they need it, easily accessible, and that we're going to continue working to build a strong, sustainable, well-diversified economy as we continue to build Alberta with everybody who calls it home. Everybody's welcome here. Everybody will have access. I'm going to do my best to make sure that we continue putting Ellerslie on the map.
Thank you very much. In a very healthy part of democracy, and it went very well. Thank you very much. And you guys were excellent, and wish you all the best for the upcoming election. And thank you for coming.